The stickman wakes up thinking that he is in control of his financial life. He stretches confidently, as if he had discovered the secret of prosperity. Just worry only about the big numbers, the heaviest bills, the serious commitments of the month. After all, small coins don't make a difference. The narrator, in a tone of sarcasm, cuts through the reverie. He really believes that the coffee from the bakery, the dessert after lunch, and that quick purchase on the delivery app are nothing more than crumbs, almost invisible in the budget. But with each crumb of these, something crumbles without him noticing. While he smiles satisfied, the small expenses multiply like invisible ants carrying small pieces of his wallet. Each coin that escapes is one grain less to sustain the castle he imagines he is building. In his mind, there is a golden dream. He visualizes all the money being directed only to important things: the rent, the electricity bill, the internet, the children's school. But real life doesn't work like that. With every little slip, a crack appears in this illusory castle. First it's an innocent coffee, then it's a just a day at the fast food, then a forgotten delivery fee that repeats itself every single day. The narrator reinforces the problem is never the size of the isolated expense, but the invisible habit it creates. The poison does not kill in the first drop, but when it accumulates in the blood, and while the stickman insists that it makes no difference, the ultimate irony imposes itself. The dream of freedom he believes he is slowly building turns into the nightmare of eternal scarcity. The stickman feels free, spending only 5 reais there, 10 reais there. For him, these values are almost invisible, small permissions that work as a quick relief. Coffee to wake up, dessert to sweeten the day, impulse shopping to reward yourself for the effort. He believes that every expense is a personal, insignificant choice, and that no one can judge him for it. After all, what difference can a few coins make in a world dominated by expensive bills, endless installments, and giant debts? The narrator cuts the scene mercilessly, but each micro-decision is an invisible chain that ties the future. Because while he believes he's buying freedom, he's actually signing a silent contract with addiction. It is at this point that the irony becomes clear. Small expenses are like invisible handcuffs, easy to put on, difficult to take off. They offer the sweet feeling of autonomy. But they build brick by brick a prison without bars, where he locks himself up every day. The stickman then dreams of his great escape. He runs towards a paradisiacal beach, the perfect scenario of financial freedom. Words like tranquility, future, and security shine on the horizon like luminous signs. But the path there is covered with small denomination bills scattered on the floor, and he trips over each one. He falls, gets up, stumbles again, until he realizes that he will never reach his destination. The narrator drops the final sentence. Who would have thought that freedom was sold for a cup of coffee in 3 installments? If you've also stumbled upon these invisible expenses, subscribe to the channel now. Here, each video is a warning for you not to sell your future in exchange for pennies. The narrator opens up the ridiculousness of the scene. See the show. The stickman spends 20 reais on a quick snack, but complains. When the electricity bill increases by 2, he is the master of financial selectivity, the king of self-deception. And so, before everyone's eyes, the scenario turns into a real circus show. The daily expenses, the same ones he insists on calling irrelevant, are dressed up as artists. Some juggle coins, others appear as clowns laughing at his naivety, while magicians make every note he thought he was keeping disappear in seconds. The audience is delirious. Banks clap their hands. Enthusiastically, credit cards laugh as if it were the joke of the year. Delivery apps celebrate with each new click. Everyone applauds and has fun at his expense. And who is the only one who doesn't laugh? The stickman himself, who, with a serious air, still believes he is the smartest in the room. He really thinks he has control, but he doesn't realize that he is just the main attraction of the financial illusion circus. The narrator gives the final hammer. The small expenses are the invisible artists who steal, before your eyes, all the future you believed you were building. You're not watching the show. ... You are the spectacle. And before the curtain closes, comes the direct provocation. And you, have you ever fallen for this show of self-deception? Have you ever spent without thinking about small things, but complained about the big bills? Comment below and confess. What was the most ridiculous expense you have ever made, thinking it would not make a difference? The stickman finally decides to be responsible. He pulls out a shiny safe, puts the first coins inside, and cracks a wide smile. As if he were taking the first step toward riches, the scene even looks like a bank advertisement, illuminated background. Optimistic music, him holding the safe as if holding his own future. But the narrator cuts the illusion with the coldness of reality. Little did he know that this piggy bank was born condemned. Not because of a lack of intention, but because the money that should feed him is already committed before it even arrives. Each outing to eat away erodes some of what could be saved. Each forgotten streaming subscription silently drains a few more coins. Each impulse purchase, made in seconds of distraction, is a sure blow against this little dream. The stickman believes he is putting it together, but, in practice, the safe is just a theater, an empty box that will never have time to fill up. The scene becomes almost comical. The stickman puts a coin inside and, without realizing it, to escape through the invisible cracks made by daily spending, before long, the vault begins to crumble into dust, evaporating before his eyes before it has even accumulated any real value. The narrator, in a tone of sharp irony, sentences, "The dream of joining starts beautifully, full of promises, but always ends drowning in convenience, soft drinks and small luxuries disguised as nothing." Suddenly, the stickman decides to calmly look at his statements and discovers an endless list of recurring charges. There are 10 subscriptions that he doesn't even remember having hired, a gym that he never goes to, 3 streaming platforms that he doesn't watch, essential apps that continue to charge month after month, and even a paid newsletter that he swears he didn't subscribe to. The shock is immediate. He believed he was in control, but in fact, he is trapped in an invisible web of automatic debits that consume his money without asking permission. The narrator, in an implacable tone, sentences, "Small expenses create the illusion that you own the world. But the truth is even crueler. It's not you who owns the services, it's the world that owns you. You don't own anything, just a faithful subscriber to financial hell." The stickman, desperate, tries to cancel the subscriptions. Click buttons, send emails, look for hidden links in lowercase letters. But each subscription comes back like a mocking ghost, an auto-renewing charge. Here, a cancellation fee, there, a can't-miss promotion that hooks you back again. He finds himself surrounded by shadows, laughing at his naivety, as if in a nightmare where his own choices come to life to torment him. In the end, he realizes the scam. He didn't buy freedom, he bought handcuffs disguised as convenience, and each one of them tightens his ankle a little more, preventing any step towards the financial independence he dreams of. The stickman, tired of ignoring, finally decides to face reality. He opens his bank statement. The screen fills with small figures, one after the other, forming an endless line that seems to mock him. 4.99 reals here are $12.90 there, are $7.50 in another corner. No amount is big enough to scare in isolation, but together they form a true silent army. The narrator intensifies the scene with sarcasm. There was no giant purchase, there was no extraordinary expense, just currencies on the move, disciplined, devouring without haste what could be. Investment, tranquility, future. The stickman watches, astonished, and suddenly the extract comes to life. The lines turn into receipts that multiply, invoices that wrap around it. Digital receipts that fall from the sky like a rain of paper until the ground disappears and he plummets in free fall into an abyss made of these small accumulated beads. With each meter of fall, flashes appear. The coffee bought on impulse, the unnecessary delivery, the forgotten subscription, everyone laughing at his naivety as the stickman plummets, unable to hold on to anything. Understanding finally catches up with him. He wasn't robbed all at once. He didn't lose his money in a scam. There wasn't any major financial disaster. What destroyed him was the slow poison dripping day after day, which he swore was irrelevant. A hole dug not by others, but by his own choices that he preferred not to see. In the final scene, the stickman finds himself facing a crossroads. 2 paths open up in front of you, and each carries a completely different destiny. On the one hand, the familiar road, continue ignoring the small expenses, pretending that they don't matter, believing that there will always be time to organize later. This path seems easier, paved with immediate pleasures, quick coffees, daily pampering, and impulsive purchases. But in the background, this road ends in a dark abyss, where dreams fall and never return. On the other hand, a less inviting but solid path, learning to control every detail, seeing that the accumulation of small gestures is what really shapes the future. Each coin saved becomes a brick. Each expense avoided, a step. Each conscious choice, a foundation. It is not the path of deprivation, but that of construction. It requires discipline, it requires saying no to oneself, but it is the only road that leads to the freedom he so desires. The narrator closes in a direct tone, almost like an ultimatum. Small expenses are not small. They are the slow poison that silently kills your dreams, and in the end, you only have two choices: be their slave or turn every penny into a brick of your freedom. And before the screen goes dark, the final invitation appears. And if you want to understand even more how small decisions change your future, don't miss the video that is now appearing on the screen. Click and continue this journey. Your pocket will thank you.